Welcome back. I'm Mike, and today we're going back into the mystical realm of Stadti to explore the ins and outs of the two forms of magic that exist. Magic is a force so prevalent that it permeates the day-to-day lives of each individual person, and there are two types of this magic. Going forward, we will refer to them by their technical names, aphotics and ikinics. To call these practices magic doesn't quite match how it is regarded by the many diverse people of Stadti. To them, it is not this mysterious and poorly understood force. Instead, it is more like physics or chemistry. Scholars specialize in it, students study it, and the world relies on it as one of the primal forces. Without it, things just simply wouldn't work. When regarding this particular force of nature, two things are important to keep in mind. As with all things, there is an equal and opposite force, like light and dark, like the wind and the stone that stops it. Like the sun's heat that purges away rainwater, all things have their counterpart. Aphotics in practice is very subtle, manipulating small things, altering emotions, allowing the practitioner to make small but exceptionally precise alterations to the chemical, physical, and emotional nature of things and people. Because of this, aphotics is considered a courtly magic, often employed by princes and politicians as it allows for the user to control conversations, manipulate people, and even create minor illusory phenomena. Aphotic practice is also favored by thieves, cutthroats, archers, travelers, and craftsmen. The range of ability aphotic practice offers may seem limited, but the precision it allows, as well as the near limitless alteration potential, makes it powerful in the same way an undercurrent is, subtle but deadly in the right circumstances. Practitioners of this form can be referred to as aphotes. Ikinics is the other side of the proverbial coin. Ikinics is grandiose, allowing practitioners to control the very elements around them, weaving firestorms and calling lightning down. However, it is limited by its surroundings. For example, an ikinic practitioner in a dense forest covered in snowfall would find it near impossible to create fire, but would find it quite easy to conjure a devastating snowstorm. Due to this calamitous power, ikinics has been all but outlawed across the realm, save only for times of great need, or if you are a particularly cruel ruler, for times of war. Practitioners of this form can be referred to as ikinders. To boil it down to its simplest explanation, aphotics changes the nature of something, and ikinics amplifies it. Now these two are not equal opposites as would be expected. There are in fact two forms of practice that have been lost to time. Aphotic's counterpart allows its user to restore things to their purest forms, and ikinic's counterpart allows the user to suppress the world around them, rendering it still and lifeless. Access to these practices, however, simply do not exist, as no scholar, warrior, or poet has found the means of drawing upon their strengths. In both practices, there are a number of sub-practices, each of which we will go through briefly. In aphotics, there are 5 sub-practices, each with a specialization. The first and most common being aphotes who can manipulate the physical integrity of materials, also known as maffics. This application can only affect a small portion of a whole object, typically around 2 parts in 5. Now while this is limited in scale, it more than makes up for in strength. Maffics can weaken steel to such a degree that the affected area rips and tears like a sheet of parchment. Or, conversely, they can reinforce string to such a degree that a single strand of maffic-altered material can hold around 10 times its normal load capacity. This holds many practical applications. Craftsmen can render their mediums easier to work with, and reinforce them to make for sturdier finished products. Thieves can loosen the belly of a coin purse, causing its contents to rip out and fall. Sailors can reinforce rigging during a storm, allowing vessels to survive greater ordeals than those not carrying maffic crew members. The second kind are known as chemphors. They can alter the chemical makeup of any given material. However, they must obey a similar rule that maffics abide by. The more pure a substance being altered, the more of the substance can be altered, sometimes as high as 1 part in 2. Additionally, the closer 2 substances are in alchemical makeup, the more of that substance can be altered. For example, a glass of water being changed to a glass of Stitcher's bleach could be altered 3 parts in 4, but the same glass of water being altered to stone could only be altered 2 parts in 15. Chemphors can follow a series of alterations to achieve a desired effect. taking a material and putting it through multiple changes. What this means is through enough effort, a Chemfor could change water to wine, wine to grapes, grapes to soil, and soil to stone, all within an alteration rate of 3 parts in 4. However, it is up to the Chemfor to discover what lines of alteration lead to what results, and as such, many Chemfors carry books with their own recipes for materials. The third kind are known as Lifors, having the ability to alter how light is perceived in a given area, essentially creating illusions. Unlike other aphotes, Lifors can affect a greater area, some of the more notable being able to create illusions as large as a draft horse. Now, as with all practices, Lifors have their limitations. The larger the illusion, the less detail can be provided. An illusion of a horse would appear as a silhouette, but an illusion as small as a pocket watch can bear detail to such a degree that the inner harmonics can be observed in action and can be read as true to the actual time observed. Lifers often find their ability leading them into professions of theater, art, and performance, due to their ability to create an observable something out of nothing. The fourth kind are known as mimics, bearing the ability to alter the kinds of emotions associated with memories. This effect cannot be observed in real time, as they don't have direct control over emotion. Instead, they subtly nudge memories and emotions around, like tuning a precision device, until the right amount of feeling accompanies a thought. This is a gradual process and requires the mimic to spend a great deal of time with the target of their influence, which makes it an excellent practice for those in politics, leadership, and religion. For example, a politician mimic may spend a month with a rival kingdom's ruler, slowly and methodically reassociating events, memories, and experiences with different emotions, all to the end of altering the point of view of the ruler. A priest mimic may preach weekly to a congregation, slowly nudging their experience of his sermons around, creating dogmatic and loyal worshippers who associate his or her sermons with feelings of strength, unity, and happiness. The fifth kind are known as heptics, bearing the ability to modify the weight of an object, making it lighter or heavier, although they, as all, have limits. They cannot increase the weight of an object by an amount greater than half the total weight of the altered object. The same applying to making an object lighter. They also cannot alter an object heavier than half their own total weight, leading many heptics to adopt gluttonous lifestyles, allowing them to gain excess weight and increase their heptic ability. In practice, heptics often accompany maphics, as the ability to weaken or strengthen something, accompanied by changing the weight of it, can lead to some greater feats of aphotics. On their own, heptics often find work where manual labor is involved, not as laborers, but instead as supporters for the laborers, making the objects of their labor easier to handle. Many labor crews welcome heptics and often covet them the same way a soldier covets his flask. In Icenics, there are also 5 sub-practices. Due to the nature of their ability, Ikinders are very rare in our age, the practices having been almost entirely outlawed by most of the realm. The first and most common being evokers. These Ikinders have the ability to amplify existing phenomena around them, making cool weather colder, warm weather hotter, causing fire to burn hotter and faster, even causing slow-moving rivers to turn into violent rapids. Evokers are considered to be secondary to their other counterparts, as they cannot conjure phenomena. However, when paired with an Ikinder of a different sub-practice, their true potential is realized, as they can take conjured phenomena and amplify it to a state far greater than it normally would appear. As a result of this, evokers form bonds with other Ikinders, becoming inseparable. This bond goes deeper than mere kinship. An evoker's bond is considered holy, and an evoker choosing you to be their bonded is regarded as a blessing in and of itself. The second type of Ikinder are known as stormers, bearing the ability to create localized weather patterns. However, they are limited by the existing weather around them. A stormer cannot conjure a blizzard in a hot desert environment, and conversely cannot conjure a firestorm in a wintry environment. Additionally, these storms can only affect a given area about a quarter mile surrounding the stormer. However, the stormer can opt to create a smaller storm with more potency, unless of course they are accompanied by an evoker, which can lead to effects as large as a mile radius around them. Stormers have little control over the storm once they have conjured it, being only able to quell it when the appropriate time to do so comes. The third type of Ikinders are known as callers. They have much more control over their abilities when compared to Stormers, but their practice limits them to precise usefulness. Callers are regarded as being the sub-practice closest to Aphotics, due to their ability to be precise in their actions. A caller can summon great gusts of wind, call lightning strikes, fill and empty bodies of water, and raise or lower the temperature of a region by a magnitude that does not exceed half the average temperature of a region. Callers are said to be able to perform a great many other feats, however, their lack of presence in the historical record leaves that belief without legs. The fourth type of Ikinders are known as Stallers, and they bear the ability to siphon energy out of things, turning storms into clear skies, turning a raging rapid into a calm brook, taking a wildfire and reducing it to a torchlight, or turning a man's beating heart still. Stallers are the most feared of all Ikinder due to their unnatural ability to kill with a glance. Even other Ikinders fear them as they are capable of undoing any Ikinics they try to produce. The fifth type of Ikinders are known as Enchanters, and they bear the ability to imbue any object no greater in size and mass than their forearm, with the essence of their surroundings, making a sword blaze with fire in a desert, an arrow charge with webs of lightning in a storm, a fevered child cool in wintry air. Enchanters are the most subtle of their Ikinder cousins, and benefit the most when other Ikinders are around. As you can see, Ikinders are all capable of great feats alone, but when you bring a group of Ikinders together, each carrying one of the 5 sub-practices, you have a devastating force of nature. Evokers bolstering Stormers who conjure up weather patterns for callers to use, Stallers fighting back both nature itself and the power of opposing Ikinders, and Enchanters using the power of the other Ikinder to equip an army with weapons of fire and lightning. Throughout history, there have been a number of notable Aphotes and Ikinders, and with the foundation laid, we will discuss one of them, his achievements, and what set him apart from the others. The first and most fabled practitioner was believed to be able to harness the skills of both Aphotics and Ikinics, his legacy living on in the Medeus ice fields, which were said to have been permanently frozen over by his will and might, contained within the Tower of Medeus. Lonnie Medeus was barely a man when he discovered he was a Maphic Aphote, and only after his first of many near-death experiences did he discover he was also an Ikinder caller. In the present time, there exist only a few practitioners of both Aphotics and Ikinics, and they are often referred to as Malifaux, a clever naming due to their blending of 2 different things. Lonnie was raised in the central bend of Miberon, his father serving as a crewman of a now-forgotten fishing vessel, and his mother a seamstress. When Lonnie discovered his Aphotic ability, he quickly began to test it, spending much of his youth causing mischief and much grief for those around him. It was during one of these acts of youthful misconduct that Lonnie had his first near-death experience, and by extension, found his Ikinic ability to be a caller. While prowling the streets looking for a loose pocket or drunkard to be caught unawares, Lonnie spotted a man dressed in an ornate half-plate carrying a large sack strolling through the alleys. Seeing this opportunity, Lonnie used his Aphotic to alter the fabric of the bottom of the sack, making it loose and wispy, causing the contents to spill out. However, what Lonnie saw made his heart drop, for within the bag was the dismembered body of a man which fell to the stone cobbles with a sickening plop. The sight of such a gruesome scene stunned Lonnie, leaving him standing, gaping at the man and the man parts now scattered around his feet. The stranger turned, noting that his bag has become suddenly rather light, and saw Lonnie, saw his terror and saw his regard for the grisly scene before him. The man rushed toward Lonnie, drawing a blade short, tapering from a fine point to the width of a dinner platter nearest the handle. The man swung at Lonnie, and only through sheer force of terror did Lonnie turn and run. However, he was not quick enough, as the man's blade dug deep into Lonnie's shoulder and back, sending him careening down to the cobbles. As the man approached, raising his strange blade, Lonnie thrust his hands upward, as though to ward away the biting steel. Lonnie knew Aphotics would not help him here. Subtle magic could not dissuade a blade swung with purpose. However, what Lonnie felt surge through him was not Aphotic manipulation. It was Hodder, stronger and more extravagant. Suddenly, the man bearing down on Lonnie stopped in place, as though his muscles stopped responding to his call for action. Then, the man was thrown upward and away, like a great hammer struck him in the chest. He flew dozens of feet up in the air and came crashing down to the cobbles with a sickening crack. Lonnie had narrowly avoided death, and in doing so discovered he was something more than just a simple street rat AFO. Through Lonnie's teens and early adulthood, he spent a great deal of time rethinking how he went about life. Spending time with scholars, or what passed as scholars in his backwater city, learning, practicing, and adapting. Then the war came. A disgruntled king from the southern region of Miberon had grown tired of following the orders of the northern emperor, and began marching his armies north. Unfortunately for Lonnie, his mother, and his home, they were caught in the middle of it. So as to secure his mother's safety, he joined the northern emperor's military. From there would go on to commit many great deeds, though some were rather bloody. We will cover the great deeds of Lonnie Medeus in greater detail in another video. The realm has many more stories to offer. Stay tuned to learn more about the other continents, the Law Scribe, and more. Thank you. This has been a telling of the realm of Stadti.